Alright guys, today I'm going to be doing CHING number 138. Before we start in on this, I do have, I think, a couple Christmas items in this CHING, but from here until Christmas, I am going to be keeping the Christmas stuff separate because typically around Christmas time I like doing like Christmas themed cha-chings. That's all Christmas items, so those things will be set aside for a Christmas cha-ching video. So, but I do have just a couple of things before I started over on that. The first thing that I have is a Waterford Christmas ornament. This one was of a sugar plum elf, and that sold for $89.99. I also sold a set of 3 ceramic Christmas girls. Those sold for $15.99. Next was this brass crucifix. I think I picked this up at a yard sale. I want to say that sold for $19.99. Also sold a Moon Dreamers Ursa and Blinky figure doll. These sold for $99.99, and they came from the lady I've been buying vintage toys from. I also sold 5. Someone purchased 5 of these It Cosmetics Bye Bye concealers for a total of $124.95, and those came from an auction. I also sold 2 Viking Bullseye candle holders. So these actually did not come from that big Viking haul that I had recently. These actually came from an auction, and the lady that I bought like all of the Viking stuff from, I didn't see any of these Bullseye candle holders. I don't think she had any, which surprises me. But these both came from an auction. The first one was an amber one, and that sold for $69.99. And then I also sold an orange one for the same price of $69.99. All right, this next item was a really awesome one. This one was for a Rouge music box. This specific music box, absolutely, 1, it was gorgeous. 2, it played numerous songs, so it had more than 1 song on it, and typically those types of music boxes can sell for a lot more than just your standard like 1 song type of music box. This one here, like I said, came from an auction. I'd say we paid, I'm gonna guess, $30 or less for it, and it sold for $399. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for any music boxes that play more than 1 song. Next item went to a subscriber named Dina. She purchased a David Keys cat wall pocket, porcelain cat wall pocket. I picked this up at a yard sale. I paid $1 for it. It sold for $165. So David Keys, like if you look that name up on eBay, the stuff does really well. I mean, absolutely gorgeous, very unique. I had never personally seen anything like it before, so I was definitely drawn to that one. It was absolutely amazing. All right, next item was for 2 Philosophy blush duos. These sold for a total of $59.98 because they bought 2 of them. And these also came from an auction. Next 3 items went to the same person, Brenda. I'm not sure if that is a subscriber or just someone who has been buying my Catherine Lily White Halloween ornaments, but you guys are probably getting so tired of seeing these things, but they're selling and I still have some left. So the first one, these are all Catherine Lily White. This first one is a pumpkin and a cat that sold for $12.99. Then again, we have another cat with a pumpkin that sold for $12.99. And then lastly, a smaller cat with a pumpkin that sold for $9.99. And if you have never watched any of my cha-ching videos and this is your first one, I paid $1 a piece for those ornaments. Next item I have is a rooster nodding salt and pepper shaker. These were really cool. I know I've seen nodding salt and pepper shakers before. They're just really neat in my opinion. This one also had a little condiment area in the center with a spoon. This came on a tray of some stuff I won at an auction. I feel like it did take a while to sell, but that did sell at $49.99. The next item I have is an Estee Lauder lipstick in the shade Rubelite. This sold for $29.99 and it came from a flea market. I also sold, this one was a good one. This is a piece of Pyrex that came up at the auction. It had a really cool, they called it this spirograph on the top lid, and when I did my research on this, I found out that this piece was actually a promotional item, which is really cool. Typically when Pyrex comes up at the auction, this specific auction anyway, there are people that will buy it, but they kind of have like set prices in their mind as to, you know, what they're going to sell it for, like in their antique booth or what have you. So it's kind of just like a set price in their mind. And I don't think they really take the time to actually research the print or whatever, because if they did, they would have known. So they were out fairly cheap on, I'd say $40 maybe. One that sold for $299.99. So that one was a good one. There's some Pyrex coming up at the auction, and this next auction, and it's not anything like really special, so I'm not expecting to win any of it, because like I said, these people have like set prices in their head as to what they'll list their Pyrex for. Next I have, ooh, this was a really cool piece. This piece also came from an auction. This was for an old Art Deco styled porcelain light fixture. So this would be like a flush light fixture that would, like, you know, be put on the ceiling, flush to the ceiling. It had like 3 different sections to it, and it glowed under black light. So I mean, just absolutely amazing. This sold for $399.99. Really unique piece. I sold a Dooney and Burke. This was the signature It print. It was a recycled, it was made from recycled materials, recycled tote bag. I picked this up at a yard sale. I'm pretty sure I paid $3 for it, and it sold for $49.99. I sold a bottle of Tova Love Everlasting perfume for $39.99. That came from a flea market, and I paid $5 for it. I also sold a lot of 4 Oral-B replacement brush heads for a battery operated Oral-B toothbrush. At a church rummage sale, I got a whole box of these. I paid $1 for 4 of them. So I paid $1 for these, and they sold for $19.99. I bought the whole box. You'll see more lots come up. I sold every single lot of those. Also sold, this was a signed art glass vase by someone named Ed Branson. That sold for $129.99, and that came from an auction. I also sold a set of 5 Hello Kitty McDonald's toys. Those sold for $19.99, and I feel like those came from a yard sale. I also sold a vintage Star Fairies doll. That sold for $26.99, and that also came from an auction. Here's another Estee Lauder lipstick. This one was in Nectarine Shimmer, sold for $35.99, also came from a flea market. So some, you guys should know by now, some beauty items, some makeup items, especially certain shades that have been discontinued, some can sell really, really well. So it just, you know, when you come across this stuff, you pretty much just have to look it up to see if it's one that, you know, is selling really well. I also sold, these were so cute, and they took forever to sell. They were by Primitives by Kathy. It was a felted dancing fox set. So it was two little foxes in like a dancing kind of embrace. Sold for $15.99, and I think I picked that up at a yard sale. I also sold another signed art glass vase. This one was by someone named Brian Matum, and that sold for $109. It also came from an auction. Here's another lipstick. This one is an Avon one. It was in Cocoa Express. That sold for $9.99. That came from an auction where I was just winning like trays full of Avon beauty stuff for like next to nothing. Let's see. We have a set of 4 Pokemon school folders. Those sold for $19.99, and I paid $1 for those. I also sold, this was a TV series. This was The Crow, but it was a TV series. So some TV series, especially ones that were maybe a little obscure, and that type of thing, can sell well. This one sold for $64.99. So that's not too bad for some DVDs. And won that at an auction. I won it with some other stuff too, I believe, some other DVDs. It wasn't just that one. And I'd say maybe $8 for that. All right, the next 2 items went to a subscriber named Tracy. She purchased a L'Occitane hand cream for $22.99, as well as a Philosophy Purity face cleanser for $12.99. Both of those items came from what I call a beauty auction, where I just bought a bunch of beauty stuff. Here is this was an oval, it was signed, like shaker style pantry box with a lid. That sold for $25.99. I won that at an auction, and I'd say I paid maybe $4 for that. Also sold a Michael Kors Very Hollywood bracelet for $15.99. Next item was a cloisonne pumpkin-shaped trinket box that sold for $19.99. That also came from an auction, I do believe. Next item went to a subscriber named Mary. It was one of the Catherine Lily White Halloween ornaments of the ghost and the cat. That sold for $12.99. Also sold a GameCube game. This one was Super Smash Bros. Melee. That sold for $64.99, and that came from an auction. Also sold an Elemis Glow Moisturizer for $15.99. That came from a flea market, and I paid $1. Here's another set of those Oral-B toothbrush heads. Again, it was a set of 4, and they sold for $19.99. I sold another GameCube game. This one was called Mario Sunshine, and that sold for $44.99. It came from the same auction. That day we won quite a few video games. It was a lot of GameCube games. I sold a Japanese Jinbari red vase for $119.99. This came from an auction. I also sold an It Cosmetics lip flush for $29.99. Came from a beauty auction. I also sold a Taz skateboarding shirt. I did take a best offer on this and sold it for $20. It did take a while to sell. Here's another set of McDonald's toys. These were the Halloween Nugget Buddies. Those sold for $69.99. If you ever come across the vintage Halloween McDonald's Nugget Buddies, especially if it is the complete set, they sell really well. A lot of people buy those back for nostalgia purposes. I mean, even the single ones can sometimes sell, but they'll sell better if you have the entire set. Okay, that brings me to the duck decoys. If you guys remember seeing these in one of my haul videos, I told you, these duck decoys came up at the auction. I didn't know anything about duck decoys. I was just going into this with the little bit of knowledge that I could muster and a little bit of what I could find as far as, you know, sold prices go and that kind of thing. I didn't know how it was gonna go. I told Eric, I was like, you know, I'm just gonna try. I'm just trying this because I don't really know anything about duck decoys. But I had to learn about them because they came up at the auction and they were nice. They were very nice quality, and in my eyes, I was like, these are totally worth money. So, guys, I kicked butt with the duck decoys. I am so proud of myself. So incredibly proud of myself for these duck decoys. Oh my gosh. The people at the auction who, because we all know each other's eBay names, so we're always like looky-looing at everyone's eBay and like what everyone is selling and what something sold for that we know they got at the auction, and you know, we know how much they paid for it and blah 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 blah. So anybody who was looking at my completed sold auctions from that day are probably kicking themselves so hard because I kicked butt at these duck decoys. Sorry for tooting my horn for so long, but toot toot. Okay, so first one that I have, these were all by a company called Herders. So if you ever come across the duck decoy and it says it's called Herders on the bottom, just pick it up if it's at a good price. First one I had was a loon bird. This thing was huge. Absolutely amazing. It sold $414. This was the first one Eric won that night, and I'm pretty sure he paid $12 for it. So there's that. I don't think he paid more than, I want to say $40 for any of the duck decoys. There might have been one that maybe he paid a little more for because it was one that I had at a higher price, which I think was the Barrow's Goldeneye. But, you know, I made such a great profit off of these. It's insane. So the next one that we have is an American Merganser that sold for $314. And some of these, a person bought multiples of them. Next one was a Godwall that sold for $140.50. I sold a Barrow's Goldeneye for $203.50. Sold a Pintail for $125.50. A Ruddy Duck for $129.99. And a Redhead for $166.50. I think out of all the ducks, I think I just didn't sell one. Let me check my eBay real quick. I think it was just one that didn't sell, but I could be wrong. They might have all sold. But I do still have one more, but it's not a Herders. So I'm not quite sure what to expect from that one. Yeah, I still have the blue wing teal duck. It's listed for $59.99 and it has 3 watchers. So that one was like the least desirable. So I didn't do too great on picking out that one, but I did great with all of the rest. And the last thing that I have for this CHING is a pair of Doc Martens Mary Jean styled shoes that sold for $49.99, and I got those at a yard sale for $1. So as far as eBay goes, guys, I am finally up 58.5%. Those ducks really did help, but I also feel like sales are slowly climbing since, you know, we're getting close to the end of November now and people are in those holiday shopping moods. So I do feel like there is an uptick in sales. We took a lot of packages today, and I think we already have 4 more, and we just went to the post office. So definitely feel like there's a good uptick in sales. Also, Antique Booth is still doing really well. I've been selling a lot of Christmas stuff, glassware, and that type of thing. So yeah, still having a whole lot of fun with the Antique Booth. I'm so excited. Like, it's fun, like, filling it with, like, Christmas stuff, but I'm almost to the point where, like, I'm ready to, like, take out all the Christmas stuff and start putting something else in other than Christmas, if that makes sense. So I'm already just excited for the next round of, you know, what is gonna go in there. My last video you saw, we picked up some auction winnings, and some of that stuff will go in the booth. I definitely wanted those Valentine's Day planters because I was specifically thinking, you know, having some Valentine's Day stuff in the booth come closer to Valentine's Day. So those are definitely going. Eric obviously kept those sleigh bells. The snowman pottery plate, it's by Ned Foltz. That did go into the booth. The other pottery pieces will eventually probably make their way there. I think I'm going to be listing the Detmer Woolens box. It's like it would have been like a salesman sample, like if it was a salesman selling like the wool textile, like fabrics. They would take that box and it would have been filled originally with like all of like their samples of fabrics. So I do think that'll do well on eBay. I mean, if it doesn't sell, then, you know, maybe I could try in the booth. That kind of is what happened with, I don't know if you guys remember, I had gotten like a dairy, like a galvanized metal dairy box, won at an auction, and I thought for sure that would go on eBay, but no one has purchased it yet. I think it has one watcher, so I may take that down, and once I have some room in the booth, put it in there. So I know there is a lot of people out there who do buy old advertising, like dairy products, like bottles and stuff like that. So I know it's a thing. So I think it will find its person at some point. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to talk about. It's so hard. Like, sometimes I'll be thinking of the things that I want to talk about and then I'll forget. And then after I'm like editing my video or later on in the evening, I'll be like, I totally forgot to mention that. And I can't think of anything currently right now. I think later, maybe not later today, maybe tomorrow, we did start bringing up some of our Christmas decorating. So we don't have the tree up or anything like that. We only have our ceramic trees up currently. Eric's like, do you want to just set up the ceramic trees this year instead of setting up the Christmas tree? And I was like, I'm not really at that point yet. Like, I still want a tree up just because, I don't know, it's so cozy, like just being in the living room when the tree is lit and, you know, a candle's burning and everything's all lit up, and it's just so cozy, and I love that. I live for that kind of stuff. Just the calm and serene feelings of just being relaxed. So I definitely want to get the tree up. So he did say that he was probably gonna bring it up tonight probably, and then we'll work on getting it all strung up and ornaments hung come tomorrow. So let me know if you guys have started your Christmas decorating. Are you finished with it? Hopefully everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I actually went to my cousin's house, so that was really nice because I don't see her very often, so it was nice to go over there, and I had a good time. Food was delicious, and it was nice to go over there. So I had a great Thanksgiving, so hopefully everyone else did too. Let me know what you thought of this cha-ching. Toot along on my horn with my duck decoys, because I'm still pat myself on the back for that. It's just so exciting when, like, you just, you know, did really well with selling something. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you next time.